The first crack in my marriage didn't come in the form of infidelity or raised voices, it came in silence. A quiet, almost imperceptible shift that began the day our daughter, Elena, received her acceptance letter from UCLA. The envelope had shimmered with promise, a golden ticket for the life we had spent 18 years planning together. We cried tears of joy on our front porch in Santa Rosa, the vineyard wind brushing past us as if blessing her future. But the tears in my husband's eyes weren't just joy, I see that now. They were the silent ache of a man already hiding something. The truth didn't come out until weeks later, buried under a pile of unpaid bills and a suspiciously dwindling college fund. I had logged into the joint account to confirm the deposit for Elena's freshman housing when I saw the transaction $68000 transferred to Etheron Solutions LLC. What the hell is Etheron Solutions? I asked Tom that evening, the laptop screen turned toward him like a spotlight. He didn't flinch. "It's my project," he said. Just like that. His project. As if that phrase explained anything. As if 18 years of sacrifice, saving every penny, skipping vacations, and working double shifts as a nurse, all of it could be rebranded into some vanity side hustle. Etheron is going to change the way we store energy, he continued, voice level, passion burning behind his eyes. Solar battery tech. Cutting edge. I needed the money to launch it. That money was for Elena's college, I said. My voice was barely a whisper. You knew that. She doesn't need college, he replied, like it was the most logical conclusion in the world. She's smart. She can do community for a year, or learn coding online. We can invest in her later, once Etheron takes off. I stared at him like I was meeting a stranger for the first time. My husband, Tom, the man who had once hand-carved Elena's crib with his bare hands, was telling me our daughter's future could wait so he could chase a tech fantasy. The room spun, but I stayed still, rooted in disbelief. You made this decision without me? I asked. I made this family, he snapped, too quickly. I sacrificed my career to support you while you went back for your RN. I stayed in this town for you. For Elena. Now I have a shot to build something. And there it was. The years of simmering resentment, the unspoken debts he'd kept tallied in his heart. Not for our love, not for our daughter, but for leverage. That night I didn't sleep. Elena's acceptance letter sat on the counter like a ghost. I remembered the way her eyes had lit up when she read it aloud, her voice trembling, her cheeks flushed with pride. And now that dream was gone, or at least, hijacked. The next morning, Tom was gone before I woke up. Left a note on the counter, going to the warehouse. Don't wait up. The warehouse. A dusty rental unit near Petaluma where he and two ex-college buddies played inventor. I'd visited it once. Nothing more than shelves of cables, soldering irons, and whiteboards filled with indecipherable scrawls. That afternoon, I sat Elena down. She'd been sketching in her notebook, designing outfits again, lost in her own world. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. I could barely look into them. Sweetheart, I said. There's something we need to talk about. And as I spoke, I saw the light in her slowly dim. The betrayal wasn't just between husband and wife. It had trickled down into the dreams of a daughter who had done everything right, only to be told, without a word, that her future had been stolen for a gamble she didn't believe in. But I didn't know then that the real betrayal was yet to come. If heartbreak had a soundtrack, it would be the echo of Elena's door closing after our conversation. Not a slam, just a quiet click that sealed off the light in her eyes. She didn't cry. That almost hurt worse. She nodded through my explanation, her jaw clenched, her fingers tracing invisible lines on her jeans. I thought you guys had a plan, she finally said. I thought I mattered enough to stick to it. You do, I said instantly, grabbing her hand. This isn't about you not being enough. This is about your father, making a decision he had no right to make. Yeah, she said, hollow. Guess I get to learn the adult world early. I wanted to fix it. To snap my fingers and refill her fund. But what do you do when the money's gone, replaced by a pile of broken promises and a warehouse full of pipe dreams? That night, I waited up. I needed to talk to Tom, not yell, not accuse, just talk. But he didn't come home. When I called, it rang and rang before going to voicemail. I drove to the warehouse, hoping maybe, just maybe, he'd be there, fiddling with wires, regretting everything. He was there all right. But he wasn't alone. Through the cracked garage window, I saw him laughing with a woman I didn't recognize. Younger. Too comfortable. She handed him a circuit board like it was a wine glass, and he touched her wrist when he took it. It could have been innocent. But I knew better. I backed away from the window and into a wave of nausea. This wasn't just about Elena's college fund anymore. This was about a man who had slowly become a stranger, who had gambled not only our savings but our trust, our foundation. By morning, I had a plan. I didn't tell Elena, I didn't want to raise her hopes yet, but I made some calls. My sister in LA had a friend at UCLA admissions. I explained our situation, asked about deferment, scholarships, anything. I took overtime at the hospital. Every extra shift, every double, every overnight. If Tom wouldn't honor our commitment to our daughter, I would. Days passed. Tom came and went like a ghost. We barely spoke. When we did, it ended in bitter fragments, accusations laced with venom. "You don't understand vision," he said once. "That's always been the difference between us. I see what's possible. You just want security. And you're willing to rob your own daughter for it?" I shot back. "She'll thank me when this pays off." But she wouldn't. Because every time she passed him in the hallway without a word, I saw it, the disappointment. The betrayal. That invisible shift where daughters start seeing their fathers as fallible. Human. Weak. Then came the day I found the box. It was in our garage, hidden under a tarp. Labeled old tax stuff, but filled with receipts, projections, NDAs. And buried in the bottom, an unsigned investor agreement. Tom had tried to sell off the patent. Not to save us. To buy more time. More parts. He hadn't even told me. And if the deal had gone through, we would have lost everything. I confronted him that night, in the driveway. I didn't wait for a quiet moment. I didn't care about privacy. You were going to sell your design. Our money. Without even talking to me. Tom didn't deny it. He just looked tired. Gaunt. Like he hadn't slept in weeks. "You used to believe in me," he whispered. "I believed in us," I said. "Not in a fantasy where you get to be a genius while the rest of us pay the price." He didn't answer. Just walked past me into the house. That was the moment I knew something was over. Not the marriage, not yet. But the illusion that we were in this together. And somewhere, beneath all the anger, I felt the spark of something else. Resolve. If Tom wouldn't fight for our daughter's future, I would. Alone, if I had to. The sun rose over Santa Rosa like it had every other morning, casting long golden rays over our modest bungalow and the withered grapevines beyond the fence. But something was different this time. I was different. I'd stopped waiting for Tom to come around. Stopped hoping he'd become the man I married again. I was done being polite about betrayal. 3 days after finding the investor agreement, I met with a lawyer. A friend of a friend, divorce specialist. I didn't have time to grieve the marriage. I needed to protect what was left of our future, especially Elena's. The attorney's eyes narrowed when I showed him the account withdrawals and Etheron's registration papers. "He siphoned joint funds for a personal business without your consent," he said. "You have grounds. Strong ones." The next steps felt surreal. Papers were drawn up. Notices were filed. When Tom was served, he didn't explode. He didn't beg. He just stared at the documents like he hadn't expected me to follow through. Like I was still the woman who swallowed her anger with a smile. I was going to pay it back, he mumbled. No, I said, voice firm. You were going to burn through everything and hope no one noticed until it was too late. We lived under the same roof for 2 more weeks, the air between us thick with resentment. Elena barely spoke to him. One morning I found her in the backyard, sketchbook in hand, drawing a jacket with solar panel accents. Maybe I can make clothes that power your phone, she said, forcing a smile. Then Dad'll think I'm worth investing in. I pulled her close. You don't need his belief, sweetheart. You just need your own. That was the day I showed her the email. It had come from UCLA's financial aid office. After explaining everything, Tom's unauthorized withdrawal, my efforts, Elena's academic record, they'd offered a partial scholarship and approved a year-long deferment. If we could pay the deposit within 3 months, she'd be back on track. Elena cried. I cried. And then we got to work. She picked up a part-time job at a local boutique, using her sketches to pitch custom pieces. I took extra shifts and started selling handcrafted wellness kits online, inspired by my work as a nurse, lavender sachets, eucalyptus balms, hand-sewn heat pads. It wasn't glamorous, but it helped. And then something unexpected happened. People noticed. A blog featured Elena's designs. A local paper did a piece on our mother-daughter hustle to save for college. Donations trickled in. Small at first, then steady. Women messaged me from around California, thanking me for showing them that starting over didn't mean starting from nothing. Meanwhile, Etheron Solutions dissolved quietly. The other co-founders pulled out. Investors lost interest. Tom moved into a small apartment downtown. The last I heard, he was trying to freelance as a tech consultant. I didn't hate him, I just didn't trust him anymore. By spring, we had the deposit. Elena printed the confirmation email and taped it to the fridge. That summer, we drove to LA together. Just the 2 of us. The campus was buzzing with life, bright murals on every corner, students crisscrossing beneath palm trees with wide eyes and open hearts. Elena stood in front of her dorm, suitcase in hand, and turned to me. You saved this for me, she said, her voice thick. No, I said, brushing hair from her face. You saved this. I just reminded you you were worth fighting for. As I drove away, the ocean glinting to my left and the city stretching wide, I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt free. Strong. Whole. Because when the life you planned falls apart, you build a new one, with fierceness, with fire, and with the kind of love that doesn't ask for permission. And this time, it was our turn to decide what came next. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel and enjoy these other amazing stories.